On this episode of Lapeef, Let's Talk.
I think that at a certain point in a relationship, it's kind of the same thing. Like the marriage the marriage is the legal aspect and all of that. But I can't see myself just completely changing once I get married. Like I don't know.
So why do you want to be married? Why do you want to be married then?
Because that's a more that's legally recognized. It's what I believe in. It's what I've always believed in. It's what my parents and my grandparents believe in. Like, I think marriage is extremely important. I think raising kids within a marriage is extremely important. So I get what you're saying, like, what's the difference? But it's kind of like you can drive with no license, but if you get pulled over, I don't care how good you were driving, if you have no license, like, it's still a big deal.
Okay. I want you to hold that trust because I'm coming to you next on the next topic. So since you said
But hold on,
trust,
let me ask a question. Let me ask a follow-up question. I'm genuinely curious because I've been married for a long time, right? So I'm out of the loop a little bit. How do you submit to somebody that you're in a relationship with? Like, how do you consciously, I know how women operate just naturally, but how do you consciously submit to somebody that you just in a relationship with versus being married?
Good question, Anton. Great question.
I think it's subconscious. Like, things just kind of fall into place like that. Like, I trust my man. I trust his leadership. I mean, it's not like a conscious, decision. It's just the dynamic that works for us. So,
So how do things change? How do things change once you get married?
You tell me.
No, I'm saying, what's your vision for how things would be different? Like, what's the difference between being in a relationship and being married when it comes to submission for you?
I think that at a certain point in a relationship, it's kind of the same thing. Like the marriage the marriage is the legal aspect and all of that. But I can't see myself just completely changing once I get married. Like, I don't know.
So why do you want to be married? Why do you want to be married then?
Because that's a more that's legally recognized. It's what I believe in. It's what I've always believed in. It's what my parents and my grandparents believe in. Like, I think marriage is extremely important. I think raising kids within a marriage is extremely important. So I get what you're saying, like, what's the difference? But it's kind of like you can drive with no license, but if you get pulled over, I don't care how good you were driving, if you have no license, like, it's still a big deal. So I think marriage is just that next step to kind of secure everything in place.
Well, the only reason I ask is because I know that, you're more open to the different dynamics and how a lot of people operate within their relationships, right? Like, you're open to the possibility that different relationships can mean different things for different people. So yeah. I'm always curious as to how you see relationships versus marriage when it comes to, a personal thing for you and why you think it would be different either way. And if you think it would be different, how? Because, it seems like everybody, in my opinion, is just shacking up. And in their minds, it is no difference. When I talk to a lot of girls or I talk to a lot of guys, they often say, I don't see why I should get married when I'm already milking a cow. Like, I don't know why. I'm trying to understand why other people see things. I have a clear view of how I see marriage, but I'm always curious as to how other people see marriage and relationships and what's the difference if they've already found themselves in the most submissive role possible within that whole sphere of how they live it.
I mean, for me, I think about the future. I think about family. I think about legacy. I think about all of those things as well. So, I mean, a lot goes into it. I don't think it's exactly the same, but in terms of actions, it's not like I'm like, oh, I'm single until I'm married. I'm not going to submit to my man until I got a ring. Like, I don't believe in that at all. But I do understand, like, if you're in a very, very new relationship, it's not necessarily going to be the same as a long-term relationship or a marriage or anything like that. But I think, like, at a certain point, you should start showing that you're ready to be within a marriage. You can't keep saying, I'm not going to do this till I'm married. I'm not going to do this till I'm married. Like, how could you trust that? I don't know. That's just how I feel about it, but I know people feel differently.
Okay.
I'm not gonna bring no. Do your thing, Jr. I'm letting it rock. I'm just observing.
All right. Everybody, got a guest coming in, right? Well, not a guest, but bringing in Rilla, man. Y'all been asking about Rilla, man. Here he is.
A guest. He said a guest.
Yeah, he definitely a guest this week. He definitely a guest this week. Y'all can hear me?
Yeah.
What up? What up? What up?
All right.
What's going on?
Appreciate you coming through, Rilla, man. I'm gonna bring you up to speed, so I'm just gonna go down a list of questions and get your opinion. You guys feel free to speak on it if you guys agree or disagree with them. So we're talking about submission, as you see it scrolling down right there at the bottom. And I asked the definition of submission. What is submission to you?
Getting up under the mission. So it's the person that casts the vision, the person that is submissive or submitting is getting up under the mission of that person.
Okay. And the next question was, why do women feel you have to earn submission? Why do women feel that men have to earn submission?
That's a great question. I think probably for the same reason that men feel like women need to earn their trust. All right. So you talk about, we had a whole conversation around, can women be trusted? And there's this dichotomy of this back and forth between men and women. But I do think that when women are resting in their feminine, their true nature, their feminine nature, then submission is not really a back and forth. It's just a matter of if the man is making them feel comfortable enough to submit to them.
Okay.
But let me ask a follow-up question to that though, and it's the same question that I asked to the rest of the people on the panel, the ladies, right? What's the difference between submitting in a relationship and submitting in a marriage, in your opinion?
I think the caveat with a marriage is that is binding. That is binding before, the God you serve. That is obviously binding in the state that you're in. Whereas in a relationship, it's strictly optional. The bound the tie that binds y'all together is only the words and the actions that you agree to, right? So if a woman says, so in my situation, right, like I'm in a relationship, I'm not married, right? So the submission that I experience in my relationship is because I know I make my woman feel comfortable doing that. I put her in a position to feel comfortable submitting to me. I put her in a
So is that conditional though? Is it conditional? Like the submission is based off of what you do, and so the submission is just not natural as a result of being in a relationship?
I don't know. I don't know that I wouldn't say that it's conditional. I'm just saying I know in my role, that's my go-to to make her feel comfortable. As a man who's been in, relationships and as a man that's of a certain age, you learn. Like you learn. So for me, I know what I have to do is make her feel comfortable. I know that's not something that I'm just gonna walk up to any random woman and, hey, you submit to me. Or, even in a relationship, there's things that you gotta prove throughout that relationship. So it's constantly building. Now, if you asking about, feminine nature and all that other stuff, where is she naturally feminine? That's a different question. But I don't, my woman is not the type of person that's running around submitting to everybody.
No, I'm just saying in general, when it comes to, like, because you said that your woman submit because you make her feel comfortable. Like, and that just, like, my chick is going to submit no matter what.
Now, let me ask you this. Why would she do that? She did that at 22, 21, 20, 19?
Yeah, she did it the minute that we started having, like, getting involved with each other.
Right.
Like, even in our friendship, she's always yielded to me to be the person that ultimately made the decision, no matter what, no matter where we hung out, no matter the decision that we make, everything has always been based off of my leadership. So I'm just wondering how that becomes conditional, even in a relationship. Okay, so let me reframe the question. When you get married, does the submission still come conditionally based off of how you make her feel?
I'm going to say, yeah, I think it's always going to be a place where you're building on top of the relationship. You're adding to. If a man stopped doing what he's supposed to do to make that woman feel comfortable, protected, provided for, that's not going to be a comfortable place for her to submit in.